We start the week off old and ancient with Star Wars the arcade game for Colecovision, released in 1984 by Parker Brothers. Big props to my buddy for loaning me his copy of the game for the purposes of this video. And let me tell you something, folks, the Force is not with me as I am absolutely terrible at this game. Look at the horrible gameplay on screen and take it all in, because that's what you're getting for the next couple of minutes. Now I'm going to keep this short and sweet because A, you don't deserve to see some schmuck aimlessly guide a finicky cursor around the screen, and B, there's not a whole lot to say here. It's basically a home conversion of the popular vector-based Star Wars arcade game from Atari, depicting the final battle of the original Star Wars movie that begins with a battle against Imperial TIE fighters, before engaging on a Death Star surface attack against the various towers, and eventually making the trench run where you avoid obstacles and projectiles, to eventually launch your proton torpedoes in the thermal exhaust port to blow the whole Death Star up. Hooray! Victory for the rebellion! Except in this universe conceived by Atari and Parker Brothers, the Empire has a near unlimited budget and just as many Death Stars for you to blow up, so yeah, have fun. And look, despite my horrible efforts here, Star Wars on Colecovision is actually pretty impressive given the huge challenge and technological difference that Parker Brothers needed to overcome in order to make this conversion feasible, let alone playable on the system. Now my only real gripe is the slippery controls. Not that less than slippery controls would have helped much in my sorry case, because even in the actual arcade game, I'm not that good anyways, but I feel the targeting reticule moves about a bit too quickly, and just attempting precision aiming is a bothersome task. Other than that, however, the gameplay is pretty much retained, or at the very least moderately replicated here. You shoot down TIE fighters, you blow away multicolored fireballs, it's all here and it's all done very well. Now like I said, the slippery controls are something of a hindrance here in respect to trying to be precise with your shots, but they do work. The controls are inverted much like flight controls, so cursor moves up when you press down and vice versa. It takes a little getting used to since you're not really flying the X-Wing, you're just aiming your shots, but it works well enough. The targeting functions just fine in regards to shooting down TIE fighters or laser turrets. It's not quite perfect in regards to shooting down fireballs, but it's more than adequate. Visually, they did about as good a job as possible to replicate the arcade visuals on here, and it looks pretty good. There's no zooming effects for the TIE fighters or extravagant Death Star destruction scene, and the fireballs have something of a staggered approach. But the scaling of the laser turrets as well as the trench run is pretty solid and works far better than I would have expected from an early 80s console. I also like the inclusion of the X-Wing laser cannons on the side of the screen. That was a nice touch. Look is good too. Sound is your usual array of stock Colecovision sound effects with the occasional Star Wars jingle playing every so often. It is what it is and there's not much to say there. It's just there and it sounds fine. That's all I got. Overall, Star Wars the arcade game received a fine treatment on Colecovision and may very well be one of the better home conversions of the arcade game I've played. Slippery cursor and my own lack of skill aside, this game was great fun and worth adding to your Colecovision collection if you could snag a copy. And that's all I got. Good night.